"Sir, control your child, or we're turning this plane around." Her voice was sharp. Final. The flight attendant wasn't bluffing. The passengers had had enough. And honestly, so had the crew. Row 1, Seat A, a boy, no older than 9, was screaming like his body was on fire, fists pounding the tray table, face drenched in tears, knees pulled to his chest like he was trying to disappear from the world. He couldn't speak, couldn't breathe, couldn't stop. And his father? A man in a custom-tailored navy blue suit stood frozen. One hand trembling at his side, the other clutching his chest like guilt was physically crushing him. "That's my son," he muttered. "He's not broken, he's just overwhelmed." But no one cared. Phones were out. Whispers turned to groans. One man shouted, "If he can't handle the flight, he shouldn't be on it." And just when it felt like the plane might riot, a voice from the back cut through it all. "Let me help him." Heads turned. Silence. A black boy in a worn-out hoodie, no shoes, no expression. He stepped into the aisle, slow, steady, almost unreal. Eyes locked on the boy who was still screaming. A passenger reached to stop him. The flight attendant blocked his path, but the boy raised one hand, calm, unwavering. "I know what this is," he said. "Just let me sit with him." No one spoke. He knelt beside the child, placed a hand on his back. "It's okay, I'm here now." And for the first time in 37 minutes, the plane went silent. But what he did next left even the millionaire dad in tears. It was Flight 227, Boston Logan to Los Angeles, Delta One, fully booked, no delays, no upgrades, no nonsense. Leather seats, champagne on standby, row after row of designer luggage overhead, and crosswords spread across Wall Street journals. Quiet luxury, the kind that doesn't brag, just expects. In Seat 2A sat James Holloway, the man behind PingBook, a $2.8 billion app that replaced half of Silicon Valley's recruiters. Blue silk tie, matching pocket square, platinum Amex. Rolex Daytona, the kind of man who gets offered the private lounge before he even checks in. Beside him, a boy. Pale, tense, knees up, fingers twitching. Elliot, 9 years old, smart, brilliant even. But words didn't come easy. Not today. Not on planes, not since the incident at preschool where someone clapped too loudly. Across the aisle, a couple whispered, "Is he sick? He's probably just spoiled. Can't stand not getting his way. Well, if he's gonna scream the whole way to LA, we should have driven." James didn't respond. He never did. He just adjusted his cuff and tapped out a note on his phone. Noise-canceling headphones, reorder. Back in row 30B, a totally different story. Noah Davis, 10 years old. Ashy knuckles, baggy hoodie, sitting beside his grandmother, who was holding a Bible and 2 peanut butter sandwiches wrapped in foil. "Tell me again where we're going," Noah asked. His grandma smiled, tucking her purse closer. "LA, baby, but not for Hollywood. We're going for healing." The attendant walked past and didn't even glance at them. No champagne here, no slippers, no eye contact. Just stale pretzels and the hum of an engine that had been working since '06. "Why's everyone so quiet?" Noah asked, peering toward the front. His grandma shrugged. "Quiet doesn't always mean peace. But that boy, he's not quiet. He's hurting." Noah had seen him when they boarded, the pale kid with the clenched jaw and restless hands. And even now, 10 rows back, Noah could still hear him muttering under his breath. Not words, just sound, like static trying to become music. Grandma looked up from her Bible. "You feel it, don't you?" Noah nodded. "Yeah, and it's getting louder." Meanwhile, up front, the turbulence hadn't even started, but the pressure in the cabin? Heavy. Flight attendant whispers. More stairs. James reached into his jacket and pulled out a prescription bottle. Turned it, hesitated, then shoved it back inside. "No pills," he whispered to himself. "We're doing this without meds this time." And just like that, the boy kicked the seat in front of him. Twice. A woman turned around, glaring. "Sir, control your—" "He's not a dog." James cut her off, voice low but razor sharp, but behind him another voice said, "Yeah, but you sure don't know how to raise him." James turned. A man in business class smirked and took a sip of his whiskey. The tension was rising, inch by inch. But from the back of the plane, Noah was already unbuckling. "Grandma, I know," she said. "Just don't scare them." He stood, steady, certain. And as he walked forward, past strangers, past judgment, past seats stitched in money Every aisle grew silent, because whether they knew it or not, their worlds were never meant to collide, until turbulence hit more than the skies. "Sir, would you like still or sparkling?" James didn't even look up. Sparkling. French. No lime. That's how people treated him. Not because they liked him, but because they feared making a mistake around him. James Holloway was the kind of man who didn't raise his voice because his silence made people scramble faster. Fortune 100s knew his name. Venture capitalists fought to sit beside him. He was the guy who said no so efficiently, people thanked him for it. But right now, he couldn't do a thing. His son sat beside him, back pressed hard against the seat, shoes off, head tilted, mouth open, no sound, yet you could tell he was screaming. Inside. Elliot Holloway. 9. Diagnosed at 4. High-functioning autistic, hyperlexic but nonverbal when overwhelmed. And planes were always too much. The lights, the hum, the eyes. A woman leaned across the aisle. "Your son okay?" James forced a nod. "He's just overstimulated." She smiled awkwardly. "Have you tried an iPad?" James blinked once. "Thanks. Never thought of that." Elliot rocked harder. Meanwhile, in row 32B, Noah Davis was quiet but not afraid, not shy, just observant. He watched how everyone moved, where their eyes went, what their bodies said when their mouths lied. A flight attendant stopped him at the divider between economy and business. "Excuse me, kid, this section's for first class." Noah raised an eyebrow. "I didn't ask to sit here." The attendant scoffed. "Well, you can't, so back to coach seat. What is it? 32B? He nodded. "I know where I'm going. Do you?" She blinked. He walked past her before she could answer. The businessman in 4D snorted. "They just let anyone on planes now, huh?" Noah didn't stop walking. He passed James and Elliot, didn't stare, didn't pity, just saw. Later, someone would ask him what made him walk toward that boy when nobody else did. He'd say, "He was shaking like my brother used to." And that would be the first time anyone found out Noah had a brother. Had, but not anymore. Up front, James took off his watch and set it in the tray. His hands were sweating. "Hey buddy," he whispered to Elliot, "you want to squeeze my hand? Like we practiced?" Elliot didn't respond, but his legs started shaking. James looked at the seatbelt sign. Still on. No escape. Not for another 4 hours. He exhaled, loud enough this time. "You were a genius when it came to code," he muttered to himself, "but not when it came to your own kid." Noah made it to the front, past flight attendants, past people staring, past someone whispering, "Where are his parents?" He didn't answer, didn't look around for permission. He crouched next to Elliot, slow and steady. James nearly panicked. Hey, what are you doing?" Noah didn't look up, he just said, "You're too close." James froze. "Excuse me?" "You're too close. His brain's trying to run away and your panic's trapping it." James stepped back like he'd been slapped. The flight attendant started forward. "Kid, you can't," but Elliot's foot stopped shaking. His breathing slowed. Noah reached out, slowly, and placed his hand, gentle and flat, on Elliot's shoulder. Then whispered, "It's okay, I'm here now." He didn't need respect. He came for something else. But what Noah revealed next made even the millionaire question everything he thought he knew about his own son. Where's his guardian? Are we really letting kids run the plane now? Must be one of those social media experiments. The whispers were small at first, but small doesn't mean harmless. Noah heard every single one. He just kept his hand gently on Elliot's shoulder, silent, steady. But the pressure was building. One row behind them, a woman in a cream cardigan leaned toward the flight attendant. "Is that boy even on the manifest? I'm pretty sure he's not in this cabin. They're letting unaccompanied minors wander now?" The flight attendant forced a tight smile. "Ma'am, we're monitoring the situation. He's calming the other child." The woman scoffed. "You mean doing your job for you?" Meanwhile, James just stood there, awkward, unsure. He wasn't used to this, wasn't used to being the guy who didn't have the answer. "I don't know what he's doing," he muttered. "Well, it's working," someone snapped. "So maybe don't stop it." But not everyone agreed. Across the aisle, a man in khakis spoke louder. "Are we really going to let a random kid just lay hands on someone's child mid-air?" "That's my child," James said quietly. "Then act like it." James blinked. Elliot exhaled for the first time in minutes, and then it started again, this time not from Elliot, from them, the voices, the sideways glances, the muttered assumptions. Looks like he's from a shelter. They just put these kids on flights now? He's probably recording this for TikTok. One woman adjusted her purse. Another shifted away, pulling her designer bag closer. "Watch your bag," someone whispered. Noah didn't say a word, but he noticed. Noticed the way their discomfort didn't start when Elliot screamed, but when he showed up to help. In the galley, 2 crew members huddled. "I don't like this," one said. "It's a liability. If the parents complain, the dad hasn't said a word." Exactly. Back in 2A, James finally spoke. "What's your name?" he asked. Noah didn't look up. "Why? Because you just did more for him than 10 therapists and 4 specialists." Noah shrugged. "You didn't see him. I see him every day." "No," Noah said gently. "You look at him." "That's different." A silence, heavy, real. Then from the back, another voice. "I'm not paying first-class prices to watch a street kid babysit." Heads turned. James stood tall. "Neither am I." Beat. "I'm paying to get my son to LA alive." The man grunted and looked away, but the sting stayed in the air. Noah finally broke his silence. "You ever been stuck in your own brain?" he asked James. "Every day." "No, I mean really stuck. Like your words are trapped in glue, and every sound feels like a knife." James said nothing. "He's not rude," Noah continued. "He's drowning. You're all yelling at him to swim." Then something unexpected happened. A woman in business class stood up. "Do you need a seat up here, young man?" she asked. Noah shook his head. "No, ma'am. I'm fine right here." She nodded. Another man reached for the call button. "Can we get this boy some juice or something?" The flight attendant returned, eyes softer this time. "Would you like a blanket?" Noah paused. "For him, not me." She nodded and placed it gently over Elliot's legs. The man in 3C, the one who barked earlier, muttered, "This whole thing's ridiculous." James turned, firm. "You're free to step off at 30,000 feet if it bothers you that much." The cabin chuckled, nervously. But underneath it, something was shifting. The same people who judged Noah minutes ago were now realizing he wasn't confused, he wasn't lucky, he was necessary. But the real twist? It wasn't what Noah did next, it was who he used to be. "That's enough." The voice came from a middle-aged man in row 4D, sharp suit, leather briefcase, voice like he ran a hedge fund or liked to pretend he did. "I didn't pay over $1,000 to sit through this circus. Security should have stepped in by now." He said it loud enough for the front half of the plane to hear. He wanted to be heard, wanted applause. Instead, silence, the kind that follows entitlement. James slowly turned his head. "Security? For what? A child trying to calm another child?" The man scoffed. "You're clearly unfit, sir, letting some barefoot stray play shrink with your son?" Noah didn't move, didn't blink, didn't speak. But his hand remained right where it was, gently pressed on Elliot's shoulder. The boy's breathing, though shallow, was steady. James stepped forward. "You have no idea what it takes to raise a child like mine." "Neither do you," the man fired back. "That's the problem." A flight attendant rushed in, eyes wide, hands up. "Gentlemen, please, we need calm." "Then get him back to coach," the man barked, pointing directly at Noah. "He's not supposed to be here." That did it. James snapped. "That boy did in 5 minutes what a team of specialists couldn't do in 5 years. You think this is about seats and tickets? This is about humanity." The man laughed. "Oh, please, save the TED Talk. You're just embarrassed you needed help." James looked down at Noah. Noah looked up. Still calm, still quiet. "He doesn't get loud," Noah said suddenly, "but everything in him is screaming." That silenced the whole row. The flight attendant glanced toward the cockpit, then back at the cabin. "Sir," she said to James, "careful now. If he's not traveling with you, he can't stay here." "It's protocol." "I'm not leaving," Noah said. "Not until he's okay." The woman hesitated. Another passenger spoke up. "You gonna remove the only person who helped that kid?" Another voice followed. "Seriously? That's the one you're worried about?" Then someone hit record. And another. And another. The man in 4D slouched down. His voice wasn't so loud now. "This is ridiculous." Noah finally stood. He turned to the man who mocked him. You hear things in your world: money, status, control. But in his world, he hears colors, smells noise, feels fear like a punch to the chest. You call that a meltdown? I call that surviving. James swallowed hard. His hands were shaking. I didn't know, he whispered. I mean, I knew the diagnosis, but I didn't understand. Noah nodded. Most people don't. Then, you can go back to your seat now, Noah said gently. He's okay. James turned to Elliot. His son met his eyes, and then, without warning, Elliot reached out and grabbed his father's hand. Gasps, phones, tears. He touched you, Noah said softly. That's his way of saying he trusts you again. The flight attendant stepped back. He can stay as long as he wants, and no one argued, not this time. But when the plane landed and reporters started asking questions, Noah said 6 words that stunned the nation. They thought it would end when the boys stopped screaming. But it didn't. Because when that plane touched down at LAX, the cameras were already waiting, not for celebrities, not for influencers, but for the story that was going viral before the wheels hit the runway. It started with a 13-second clip. A trembling hand recording Noah sitting beside Elliot saying one sentence: "He's not misbehaving, he's misunderstood." The video blew up mid-flight. By the time they landed, the boy in the hoodie was trending in 3 countries. The flight attendant approached James as they taxied. "Mr. Holloway, CNN is requesting a statement." Already? They're saying this could be a moment, a national conversation. James looked back at Noah, still calm, still barefoot, still beside his son. He nodded once. Let him speak. They disembarked last. The crowd at the gate parted as they stepped into the terminal. Reporters were shouting over one another. "Sir, what happened on that flight? Is it true your son is autistic? Who is the boy who calmed him down? Was this staged? Is he related to you? Was this some kind of social experiment?" Noah didn't answer, until one voice, lower, quieter, cut through the chaos. "How did you know what to do?" Noah turned toward her. "Because I've lived it." Silence. Not just seen it, not just read about it. Lived it. James stepped to the mic. "I'm James Holloway. Yes, I'm the founder of Ping Book. Yes, I've spent millions trying to help my son communicate." He looked over his shoulder at Noah. And this boy, this stranger, helped him say more with silence than anyone ever did with words. Another reporter jumped in. "Do you know who he is?" "Not yet," James said, "but I intend to." Someone finally asked Noah directly, "Son, what's your name?" Noah glanced at the cameras. "Noah Davis." "Are you a therapist? Do you work with special needs kids? Do you have training?" He shook his head. "I had a brother." The air shifted. Even the reporters lowered their microphones. "He didn't speak either," Noah continued, "but he listened to everything. Lights bothered him. So did smells. If someone clapped too loud, he'd shut down for days." A man in the back asked quietly, "What happened to him?" Noah paused. "He passed." No follow-up. No clickbait. Just reverence. James finally turned back to the crowd. "I built an empire teaching machines how to find the right people." He gestured toward Noah. "But he reminded me what it means to be one." Then something unexpected happened. A woman, maybe in her 60s, pushed past security. Eyes watery, voice trembling. "My grandson is nonverbal, and we've been trying to reach him for years. Could you speak to him?" Noah didn't hesitate. "Of course." He stepped forward, dropped to his knees. "Hey, little man, you don't have to say anything. I already hear you." The boy reached out, handshaking, and touched Noah's shoulder. His grandmother collapsed into tears. He's never done that. Not with anyone. The cameras caught it all. Later that night, James posted on social media, "Today I learned that real intelligence isn't coded in apps. It's carried by those who've been dismissed, overlooked, and unheard. Thank you, Noah Davis. You reminded the world what empathy looks like in action." But when James offered Noah a reward, what the boy asked for, no one saw coming. It was supposed to be over. But by morning, the footage had crossed 70 million views. Cable news, podcasts, TikTok think pieces. Who is the boy in the hoodie? Is empathy something you're born with or built by pain? And then the stories started pouring in. Hundreds of parents, autism support forums crashing from traffic. Mothers crying on Facebook Live saying, "We've waited years to feel seen like this." James Holloway was asked to speak at a tech summit that week. He declined. Instead, he made a different call. "Find him," he said to his assistant. "Not for press, not for a brand deal. I owe him something real." When they located Noah, it wasn't through LinkedIn. It was through a school counselor in Atlanta who emailed back 2 words, "That's Noah." She included a link to a local fundraiser. Help Noah attend his late brother's favorite art program. Anything helps. The total raised, $78. The next day, James flew to Atlanta. No press, no team. He waited outside the school until the final bell rang. Kids poured out, noisy, scattered. Noah was the last one through the gate. James stood. "You remember me?" Noah didn't smile. "Of course." James extended a folded envelope. "For you. College, clothes, wherever you want it to go." Noah didn't take it. "I don't want money." "Then what do you want?" Noah looked him in the eye. "I want a room where kids like Elliot don't have to scream just to be heard." James paused. "You mean a center?" "I mean a sanctuary," Noah replied. "No doctors in white coats, no clipboards, just peace." James nodded slowly. "All right, you'll design it, I'll fund it." The announcement dropped 3 days later. The Davis Center for Quiet Communication, a fully funded sensory support hub in Atlanta. Free to any family navigating autism. The backlash was immediate from the people who never wanted to understand. Bloggers mocked it as emotional PR. Talk show hosts called it unqualified activism. But then the footage came back. Not just from the plane, but from dozens of classrooms, teachers playing Noah's words to kids who finally understood themselves. Meanwhile, Delta Airlines launched an internal review. The flight attendant who tried to block Noah's path was reassigned. The man in 4D, identified, called out by name, lost his speaking engagement at a business convention the following week. He tweeted an apology. "I reacted poorly. I've since learned more." No one retweeted it. Noah was invited to the White House. He declined, but he did send a letter, handwritten, no hashtags. "If we want to reach the ones who don't speak, we have to stop talking over them. Start sitting beside them. Like they matter, because they do." James read the letter at a tech conference anyway, then set down the mic and said, "I used to build products for billions of users. Now I build for one kid at a time." He stepped off stage to a standing ovation. But the final chapter wasn't about James or even Elliot. It was what Noah left behind and who picked it up. The Davis Center opened 6 months later. No ribbon cutting, no press banners. Just a small wooden sign outside the door. "You don't have to explain yourself here." Inside, beanbags instead of chairs. Low lights, noise-dampening walls, no clipboards, no tests, just space. The kids came slowly at first, then all at once. One boy walked in wearing headphones and didn't take them off for the first 2 weeks. Another spoke his first full sentence there. A girl, 9, painted her feelings on the walls, and for once, nobody told her to stop. And in the middle of it all, Noah. Not behind a desk, not in charge, just present. Sitting on the floor with a group of nonverbal kids watching them draw with sidewalk chalk. A volunteer whispered to him one afternoon, "You ever think of going into education?" Noah replied, "Only if I don't have to talk much." They both laughed. James visited once a month. Quietly. He didn't bring cameras. He brought Elliot. The boy who used to panic on airplanes now helped others pick paint colors for the sensory room. One day, he walked up to Noah, tapped his shoulder, and said, "You want juice?" Noah blinked. "You just asked me a question." Elliot grinned. "Yeah, that's new. I know." They bumped fists. Word of the center spread. Parents flew in from out of state. A podcast episode about Noah went viral again, this time with teachers sharing how they'd changed their approach after watching him speak. A major university offered him an honorary degree. He turned it down. "My brother never got one," he said. "Feels wrong to wear something he never had a shot at." The local news caught him outside the center one day. A reporter asked, "Do you consider yourself a leader now?" Noah paused. "I don't lead." "Then what do you do?" "I sit beside people who've been ignored too long." "That sounds like leadership to me." He shrugged. "Then maybe the world needs quieter leaders." At a school assembly across town, a girl stood up and read a poem. "They said I was broken. He said I was beautiful. They told me to stop. He told me to breathe. I screamed. He stayed. She didn't say Noah's name. She didn't have to. At the back of that gym sat James and Elliot. Elliot had a notepad in his lap. He wrote one sentence, then passed it to his father. James read it, then covered his mouth. "What is it?" the teacher asked. James looked up. He wrote, "I want to help someone next." That was the legacy. Not a headline, not a donation, not even a center, but a ripple. One boy calmed another. And it echoed. Into classrooms, into families, into systems that forgot how to listen. But before this story ends, Noah had one final message for anyone who still didn't get it. They asked him again. At a youth summit in D.C., months after the Davis Center had already opened its third location. "Noah, what would you say to people who still don't understand kids like Elliot?" He took the mic. Didn't rush, didn't rehearse. I'd ask them one question. He scanned the room. When was the last time you truly listened to someone who doesn't sound like you? Silence. Not replied, not explained, just listened. The host nodded. That's powerful. Noah nodded back. That's survival. Later, backstage, a man from the crowd found him. He was holding a worn-out baseball cap and a folded letter. "I was the guy in 4D, on the flight." Noah looked up. The man exhaled. "I judged you, spoke out of turn, then watched the whole world thank you." Noah didn't scold him, didn't shame him, just asked, "What changed?" The man swallowed hard. "My granddaughter got diagnosed last month and I remembered your words. How's she doing?" "Better, because I stopped talking at her and started sitting beside her." Noah nodded. "That's all it takes." Now it's your turn. If you've ever spoken over someone because you didn't understand them, if you've ever watched a meltdown and assumed it was bad parenting, if you've ever walked past someone in distress and thought, "Not my problem," then this story is for you. Because empathy isn't about perfection. It's about pausing. You don't need a degree to help someone feel safe. You don't need a title to stand up for a kid in crisis. You don't need power to change the room. You just need to care enough to stay. What's your take on this? Comment below. I'm reading every single one. And if you've ever been the one who wasn't seen, or the one who finally saw them, share this story. Not for likes, not for numbers, but because maybe, just maybe, the next time someone starts to scream, someone else will remember to stay.